Hi everyone, I'm Angela Clark and I'm the author of Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. And being that you're my worldwide Church of God friends or Church of God International or any of the other offshoots, I just want you to know that that book, Awakening from Unconscious Resentment, was born out of that religion that we grew up in, the resentments that were built up because of dysfunctional ways of being, because of the abuse in the ways that we were taught. And obviously, one of the ways that we're taught is that children should be seen and not heard, that our feelings don't matter, that when we see something like our parents did, for example, that was not right to them, and they would go and tell the elders, the next thing you know, they're being counseled and then even kicked out of the church because they're not in line. We all have to be in the same vein. We have to believe the same way. And if we don't, you can be kicked out. So I think that's really, really messed up and really dysfunctional. And it causes a lot of problems because when you don't face what's going on in your emotions and your feelings, and you're not allowed to express them because, like especially when you're a child, you learn that so young that your feelings don't matter and that you're just a dumb kid. In fact, in there, as you all remember, were women that were to be subservient. And in my family that I witnessed, that my mom was not esteemed equal as like a man would be. She was definitely the lesser vessel, and I heard that. She was very subservient, very obedient. She didn't really have her own rights, I guess you would say, something like that. She just wasn't a confident type of person because of that either. And I feel that the church very much so made women feel that they were absolutely lesser, in every way lesser. That is totally not cool, not healthy. It really caused a lot of problems in my life and in my marriage later on. My mom to this day still kind of has that idea. I remember she said to me, Angela, the man is to be the head of the home, and so you want to pray, and you want this to absolutely happen, that your husband is the leader of your family and you're to take the back seat. So I remember when my husband said to me one day, after we've been married, I don't know, let's see, 5 years maybe, he said, Angela, I first of all, he said he accepted the Lord, and then he said, and after dinner I want you to take a walk with me. And when we did, he said, Angela, you're going to have to listen to me now. And I thought, oh, good, finally, my husband's going to be the spiritual head of this home. And, oh, this is just what I dreamed and just what I've been praying for, and all of this and all of that. And so it just became really a dysfunctional fast. And, no longer was it just, he and I doing everything together and we're kind of equals. It became where he was absolutely the domineering, my leader, as if, I hate to say it this way, but like my God, as opposed to that I had a relationship with God and he had a relationship with God, and that we were both striving together to be pleasing to God. And if something came up that we needed somebody to make the final decision, then he would be the one because he's the head of the house. That makes sense to me. I'm okay with that. But he became domineering, like my mother. So when I was growing up, my mom would say to me that black was white and white was black. So the feelings that I felt, the things that I saw that I did not agree with, the things that bothered me that I thought were wrong, she would say it wasn't so. And I later realized that that's what the church was doing too, that when you saw things that were a certain way, they'd have some elaborate excuse on why it's the way that it is, like why they're the ones who have the Holy Spirit and can understand the scriptures, and yet we can't. We have to rely on them, the leaders that get the stuff from the God via the Holy Spirit that we don't have in the same way. And so you're not allowed to question that. And anyway, you just always are made to feel lesser. Well, interesting, you guys, maybe some of you know that I work a lot on radio with my husband to help the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and oh my gosh, do they have a lot of similar things as us. It's just so crazy, and especially this whole idea of women being subservient, and they're very much the lesser, and over time, like I went down to see one of his services, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like ours, almost identical. And then I saw a woman there, and then many years later, I saw her again, and because I went somewhere and I saw this woman, and you put your head down, and her head's all thin, and she's depressed. She looks like she's on, beginning to go on death row. She's not happy. She's not beautiful anymore. She's actually ugly. And I'm like, well, my God, what happened? In fact, all the people in there seemed depressed to me. Like all the women were on Prozac or some sort of depression medicine. And it was like, what is going on here? Well, one time in that service, that one that I went to, one of the ones with my husband in Missouri, they didn't know he was an apostate. His brother did, but he was. He took me in there. And the answer to every single thing in there was that you are a good-for-nothing slave. And what you're doing, you ought to have been doing anyway. And that was the answer. It's right in their Bible. And it's like, what? They teach their people that they're good-for-nothing slaves. And the women were very much having to be obedient to the man. It was really, really sick. And I just thought, oh my God. And I heard them repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. I'm like, oh, I was so mad when I got done. I just wanted to scream. Because I've had to learn how to not be this wimpy, weak, you step on me, I'm not worth anything kind of a person. I've had to come out of that. So you can imagine, me fighting so hard for my life, because at the end of my trek, I was nearly dead. I had to come back from the dead. And with help from my friend that eventually became my husband and 12-step group stuff. I really am grateful for the 12-step, by the way, and Al-Anon, incredible help. The book Codependent No More by Melody Beatty. Thank you, all of you guys, for all of that. Really recommend those books. And then a book on boundaries. Oh my, that's a really important book too that I needed to learn. God got me that book right off the bat when I got free from being abused in my last relationship, before the one I'm in now. I'm very happy now. But I had to learn all these tools that I didn't learn in the worldwide. So, my family is super, super mad that I don't tolerate abuse anymore. I don't tolerate any kind of abuse, mental, emotional, verbal, and I couldn't stuff it down anymore. If I stuffed anything more down, I was going to explode, and my body was falling apart at the seams. A lot of us yell, scream. God only knows what we do when we're feeling rageful, because the resentment has been stuffed down for so many years, because we're not allowed to express those feelings. At our dinner table, we would never speak about the things that were bothering us, or something that was going on in the family that everybody wasn't happy about, or something that happened that was not right, or that we needed to discuss. We just didn't discuss. We just didn't. I don't remember having any discussions about anything. We just ate at the dinner table, and Dad was looking for something to be mad about, like, I don't know, anything. He had a hard day at work. He's tired. He's overworked, underpaid. My dad worked at the Pasadena presses, and they underpaid my dad badly, very badly. And we had 6 kids, and it was hard to make ends meet. So, what happens when you stuff things down for a really, really long time is that dysfunctional things start going on. You don't even function well at work because you don't know how to communicate your feelings. You have to shut them down. You're shut down. Your emotions are shut down. You don't know yourself. It's really, really bad when we don't speak what's on our hearts, when things are bothering us and we don't get to express those things. In my marriage, the same thing went down. The children were not allowed to fight in any way. So I somehow managed to attract a man who believed in the same kind of things that I did with regard to the family. And our children were not allowed to have little fights or arguments. I believe in that. I believe that, when you're in school and there's a problem, a lot of times a good way is just to fight it out. You know what I mean? And no kids are allowed to do that anymore. But it's a way to deal with it instead of stuffing it down. And I feel bad that things have changed in this way. I really, really do, because we need to express. And no, it's not always the answer is no, beating up. But that's how it was done in the olden days. And that way worked, in my way of seeing it. And so even my son, one time, he was having trouble with some guy bullying him really badly at school. And this was in the beginning of no bullying for my son. And but it wasn't stopping. And, of course, no one was going to do anything about it. So I said, son, if you need to, have a fight with this person and it just comes up and you get expelled, well, it might be what you need to do, because then he knows you're not going to tolerate it anymore, and he'll never mess with you again. And so my son went to school knowing that Mom gave him permission, that if you need to, so be it. Even if you have to get kicked out of school, you do what you got to do. And so he had this feeling of power and authority that he had, and it was so exuberant. They could feel it, and they just knew not to mess with them, and they quit. And I remember when I was in elementary school, Imperial Junior High School, in Pasadena, California, and these kids were saying, "Oh, you Ewart, Warthead, Wartmobile," for my last name was Ewart, and making fun of my last name all the time. And I would cry, and I just like, "Why are you making fun of me? Why are you cutting me down? Why are you making me feel stupid?" And my girlfriend said, "Angela, if you just ignore them and act like you don't care, like it's funny, yeah, you're so funny, you're so cute, and I don't really care, and just pretend that you don't care, they'll quit. It won't be fun for them anymore." And so I did, and sure enough, that worked. It was amazing how that worked. So anyway, when we're not authentic and saying what hurts and saying what's bothering us, saying what's grieving us, speaking of the resentments, the bitternesses, and we're not allowed to talk about that, it messes us up. And we're going to have to learn how to express our feelings. If we don't, we're going to get sick. We're going to start doing things like shutting down so hard that we do the silent treatment. The silent treatment is a nasty deal. There's a woman, she did a little booklet called Letting Go of the Need to Control. So some of the ways that we control when we don't feel in control, like the way that we were raised in the Worldwide Church of God, where you're completely out of control. You have to, obey no matter what. You don't have a say. You're not allowed to speak your mind, speak your piece, whatever. So some of the things that we do is I forgot where I was going with that, but we get full of rage and resentment. We're not in touch with ourselves. We're not in touch with our feelings, and we start using the silent treatment. That's where I was going with this, the silent treatment. So Ann M. in that book, learning, letting go of the need to control. Ann M. did this thing where she was just so outraged that they kept using her at work to do every kind of menial thing. And this particular time it was that she had to go pick up somebody at the airport. On her own time, again, taking advantage of her because she would always say yes. And she was probably single too, and so they always would put it on her. So she was so resentful, and so she went to a meeting that they had, and she was just full of rage. And you could feel it in the room. Everyone could feel this rage, this anger, this resentment that was exuding out of her very beingness. And they're like, "You know what? You are controlling this room. From the minute you stepped in here, you've been controlling this whole entire room, and we've had enough of it. You need to stop it. We don't know what's going on with you, but stop it. What the heck is going on here?" And so she had to think about it and realize that she had been being used and put upon so much that she just didn't want to do it anymore, but she didn't know how to say, "Don't ask me to do that," and "No, I don't want to do it." She didn't know how to say no. That's one of the codependent things that we don't know how to do when we come out of Worldwide. We don't know how to say no. We just say yes, yes, yes when we don't want to do it. We don't know how to self-care. We don't know how to consider that our needs are also important. They always come last because we're so dang codependent, and that's because the church put upon us to do everything that they wanted us to do and more than we wanted to do. And so we become not healthy because we don't know how to care for ourselves. We don't know how to value ourselves. We don't know how to say, "No, I'd really rather not do that tonight because I needed to do this. And I'm sorry, but maybe another time." We don't know how to say anything like that. And so we have to learn. And our feelings count. My mother would, again, my mom would say, black was white and white was black. That was so hard on me because I quit trusting myself. There came to the point where, I'm always wrong anyway. So I might as well not think. And guys, that's what got us all in trouble to begin with, because we don't use our thinking, our critical thinking skills, because our feelings are always wrong. The way we see things are wrong. We read in our Bible and it's different than the way we're being taught at church or the way the church is looking at it, and we're always wrong and we're shut down. And so we just quit thinking. We don't use our brain anymore. Critical thinking skills are out the door. And that is no way to live either, because then you're out of touch with yourself and you're not authentic, and you don't know how you feel about things. You're not allowed to have your own opinions, and it's sick. So the silent treatment is something that starts happening from this because we're not allowed to express ourselves. So we start to use the silent treatment, and even when we're not angry, it just becomes kind of an automatic way of dealing with things. It's a way of controlling because we don't know what to do. And we forget how to communicate our emotions. And some of us, we never knew how. For me, I didn't ever know how. My mother did not communicate her feelings. She just cried. And that, in fact, I remember doing that. I didn't know how to express my feelings, so I just would go in the room and cry. Let's see, we stop even being aware when we're even upset. We just kind of live in an autopilot, frozen and numb, in denial, in trauma. Trauma, I can say a whole lot about that. You guys, you and me, we get to learn how to do life again. And we get to learn how to do it better and better and better. And this is just one of the things to keep, I want to just bring it up, this whole thing about using the silent treatment, because it's so destructive. I mean, those people are so sick of her doing that. She'd obviously been doing it many other times because she didn't know how to express. You could be somebody who's at home and you're always being put upon and taken advantage of, and you're sick of it. And so when your husband comes home and he's done anything wrong at all, you just give him the silent treatment. You don't say hi, you don't say, how's your day? It's like, you don't care about me, you don't appreciate me, and you just take advantage of me, and you never care what I want or what I need, so therefore I'm just gonna be silent. And you just start living like that all the time. And then they come home and they feel that bad energy and that bad, negativity feeling. You can feel it in the room, it's alive, it's like real. And they just like, whoa, I'm gonna go in the other room. I can't deal with this. So then the very thing that she's really wanting, maybe it's to have someone help her with the meal once in a while, or do the dishes afterward. I'm out of here. It becomes so dysfunctional because we don't talk about our feelings. We use these tools like the silent treatment. We get so angry and so numb, so frozen, so not able to speak, that we just live in a denial and a trauma type of a phase of our lives. And so here's what's sad. No one's getting their needs met. The husband worked really hard. He came home from the work that day. The wife's angry. She's doing the silent treatment. So she's not getting what her needs met because she's not speaking her truth, what she needs to say, not getting her voice. And he doesn't know what to do. And he's even causing it, but he doesn't read her mind. He can't read her mind. He doesn't know what he's doing wrong. And so it needs to be spoken. So she expects him to read her mind, but he won't. Guys especially are not good on that at all. And so we're expecting something that they can't deliver because they need to be told, unfortunately, that I feel put upon. And I wish you would help me. And I wish you'd let me go to dance class, and I wish you'd let me read a book once in a while instead of always having to do the dishes and always do all the meals. But all she'd have to do is say that. And then he could say, honey, you're right. You do deserve that. And I have been taking advantage of you. I'm just afraid to come in the kitchen anymore. I don't know what to do. And so he says, I'll do the dishes on Wednesday night and I'll cook on Friday night. How's that? And you just do your thing. You do whatever you want. Does that sound like a plan? And she suddenly feels valued, appreciated. And then if he starts to slip later on, you got to bring it back up again, guys. You got to say it again and again. Sometimes it takes a while for these habits to change. But if you don't feel like you can say that, and you're just going to be beat up for saying it, you need to get some help. You need to go to Al-Anon. You need to go to 12-step group. You need to get some books. You need to start looking at a shelter. You need to start maybe looking at separation for a while until he can be willing to change. Because you've got to speak up. And if you don't, you're going to be sick. You're going to be hateful, rageful, resentful, and that hurts other people. And it hurts your children. They see your example, and they're going to follow suit. They're going to pick up every trait, every emotion, every way you are, the way that you talk, the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you deal with things. You're going to attract another husband, a man in their life that they're going to marry that's just like the way that they've been living with mom and dad. They can't go on. And it's not fair to yourself. You're worth more than that. And everybody, if they would just communicate, could just really, really feel better. And you deserve to feel better. Everybody deserves to feel better. But we have to communicate. And one thing I notice in Worldwide Church of God is that people that get out of there don't know how to communicate at all. We do not know how to be at work. We don't know how to speak our mind at work. And we just seem so dysfunctional. All the Jehovah's Witnesses seem very dysfunctional. I see it. It's because we did not learn how to think for ourselves, speak our minds, have our own opinions. And we have to have the opinions that were given to us, the ways of believing that were given to us, instead of having our own idea that was slightly different than everyone else. That wasn't allowed, but that's not authentic. And so anyway, I just want to encourage you to start speaking your heart, speaking your mind. Do it small. do it little, like I showed you with the kitchen incident, how you just need to say, could you just help me out in the dishes? Could you just do this? And that's a small step. Or how about this? How about just simply saying, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do that. I have some other plans. How about that? Just beginning to learn how to say no. If you go to Al-Anon, you'll see them talking about all these tools, these dysfunctional ways that we live, and the way to deal with it, and the tools that we need to have and learn to function in a way that's normal and that everyone feels good about. In your workplace, at your work, at your friends, wherever you go, you have to learn how to be. And we don't know these things, and so we have to learn them. We just do, but we can, and we will, and we should, because otherwise we'll never be happy. So I hope you'll start today. I hope you'll get that book, Codependent No More by Melody Beatty. I hope that you'll check out Boundaries, because my mother, she did not teach me boundaries. She was just always in my place, in my face, come in the bathroom sometimes, oh, honey, could you just, it's like, Mom, geez, I'm in my bedroom praying, just open the door, hey, what do you do? Oh my gosh, like, no boundaries. Mom, I don't want you to talk about your religion with me. I don't believe that anymore. No. Like, I know what's best for you. You don't know what's best for you. And I'm going to just talk whether you want to hear it or not. That's what I dealt with, and I'm sure you can totally relate to this. Anyway, it's not okay, and we have to set boundaries. Don't do that. If you don't stop doing that, I'm going to not talk to you for a week, or whatever it is you have to do, and you got to stick and hold your ground on that. And I hate to say it, but with my mother, she's so stubborn that she never has stopped, so I pretty much have to just, she's so abusive that way to me. I have to keep her at arm's length, and I hate it. But it's what I have to do to keep sane, because it feels very abusive to me, and I can't live my life like that. I won't live my life like that. And so anyway, I hope this helps. I hope it's of a little bit of value, and that you could get something out of it. Okay, you guys, until next time, have a great night. For me, it's night, and for me, it's Friday. So I hope that if you're getting this right away, I hope that you have a really great weekend. And I hope you have a really great life, because you deserve it. I'm happy now that I know the rules. I'm going to keep on sharing the rules, and I hope that, they'll help. And anyway, that's all I got to say. Okay, take care. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.